About 8 years ago, I stopped taking the SSRI antidepressant Paxil, and at that same time, I began tapering my benzodiazepine prescription of Xanax. Those are both medications I'd been on since the late 1990s, and while my withdrawal and healing period had a lot of ups and downs and many different pockets I could categorize as dark, in this video, I'm going to focus on what I often consider to be the darkest days of my experience, those first 6 or so months off of the SSRI. I'm going to talk about what I experienced, how I coped, and ultimately the lessons of hope that you can all take away from what I went through. Stick around, I hope you'll enjoy the video. Hello there, everyone, and welcome back to The Lovely Grind. My name is Michael Preby, and my website is lovelygrind.com. That's where you're going to find information about my coaching sessions, as well as an opportunity to sign up for my free monthly newsletter about health and healing topics. I hope you'll subscribe to this YouTube channel if you haven't already, and click thumbs up on this particular video if you enjoy it. Also, you can find me on Facebook at The Lovely Grind and Instagram at Lovely Grind Lifestyle. Welcome to today's video, and today I'm going to talk about the first, 6 to 9 months or so off of Paxil and what that was like for me. And again, as I said in the introduction to this video, I was also beginning my taper of Xanax at that time. So I was really, at that period of time, the end of 2012 and all through 2013, being hit with two types of withdrawal. But it was that SSRI withdrawal at that time, I feel, that was affecting me most profoundly and that really upended my life at that time. And I was a bit naive. I wasn't really expecting a lot in the way of withdrawal symptoms per se when I got off the medication. I didn't know what to expect, let's put it that way. I wasn't feeling great on the medication. I thought that I'd feel better shortly after getting off of it. But instead, I was just absolutely smacked by a freight train of SSRI withdrawal that upended every aspect of my being. That's the simplest way to put it. I couldn't sleep. I was suffering from severe insomnia, soaking the bed with sweat every night. I was experiencing basically no appetite. I was losing a lot of weight very rapidly without even trying. I was experiencing severe morning anxiety, severe terror in general. I wasn't really able to digest or go to the bathroom properly. There's just a lot of stomach problems. I was also experiencing a very deep, very dark depression, kind of a flat affect, not a lot of energy for speaking or interacting, and just really an inability to get in touch with like getting excited about planning for the future or pleasurable emotions in general. Again, there's many periods throughout my healing process that I could say were dark, but in a lot of respects, I consider that, the year of 2013 really to be the darkest there for me. And that's why I felt as if I was a walking corpse a lot of the time. And I did keep working throughout that process. And I had a pretty lengthy commute actually at that time as well, a little bit over an hour each way. And people always ask, how did I do that? And my first answer is by the grace of God. But my second is it didn't look perfect. I just did the best I could day by day to get through. I made liberal use of any sick time I had. I often found excuses to, maybe leave early or something. And bottom line, I know I looked like hell to other people, and they probably talked about what is going on with Mike over there. I had big bags under my eyes all the time. I'm sure I kept to myself more than usual, and thankfully at that period in time, I had a position where I could kind of do more computer work and less interaction, by the grace of God again, whereas a little bit down the line in 6 months or so, I transitioned into more responsibility and a lot more interaction, which came with more of the Xanax withdrawal and its own challenges. But at that time, I know I looked like hell, but I found a way to get through every day as I could, white knuckling it. One experience that I'll share today that I haven't written about or made a video about before kind of illustrates what I must have looked like to other people as I was going through this. I was sitting at my office one morning at my desk, and I think I was working, I worked with students one-on-one, students with disabilities at that time, helping them with tests and so forth. And I got done helping someone, and I came back to my desk, and my manager called me into his office. And he said, Mike, we have to talk. And, at the time, everything was a real fog. I didn't know what was going on. And he said, somebody, one of the other ladies or one of the students, somebody, says it seems like you've been drinking, and we ought to get out on top of this. And, I said, listen, I haven't been drinking. Obviously, it's about 9:30 in the morning. You can look in my desk if you want to look for alcohol or something. It was very confusing, and I didn't really know what to say. And he said, okay, well, let's get out in front of this. Let's go across the street, and a union representative is going to go there with you, and you can take a blood test at this clinic, and, nothing to worry about if you haven't been drinking. And again, I had like just a flat affect, not a lot of energy to protest, or really not a lot of clarity to comprehend what was going on. So I went along, took the test, obviously came back, negative or whatever, zero blood alcohol content. And he ended up apologizing, and his boss above him ended up apologizing. And I said, listen, don't worry about it. Not a big deal. But it was a big deal. It was stressful. It was disturbing to me. And I think, there was like this one lady I worked with that was just a real busybody, a real troublemaker. And I think that, she's the one that somehow put forth this idea that I looked as if I'd been drinking. And I'm sure I did. I'm sure I looked like I'd been out till 4 a.m. taking shots, but I hadn't been. I was going through this SSRI withdrawal. And, that was just, in a lot of respects, another day in the process. Every day brought something, usually not something that dramatic, I guess, that involved, other people at my work, but every day brought me something, some drama, some challenge, a lot of it just inner. And it really was just a process of getting through day by day. Also, when I think of that first period of time off of the Paxil and beginning my Xanax taper, in some respects, there was still a lot of confusion about what direction I was supposed to go in. I've talked before in some of my videos about how I briefly reinstated with 2 different medications, kind of around that first 6 or so months off of the Paxil. First I took a single dose of the Paxil one Saturday morning because I was so distraught, and that just made me otherworldly sick. Then at work, I would like look up, different medications, and I had 1 foot, as I like to say, like 1 foot off of the medications, but 1 foot still in the idea that I needed medication. So I'd research these medications. I would like call my doctor's office, say, what if I tried this or that? And so I did try Wellbutrin for about 10 days and a very tiny dose of Lexapro for about 2 months. And frankly, I had even forgotten about some of that until years later, because it was such a footnote in the whole experience. But I share that to illustrate the struggle that goes on, the psychological struggle to kind of separate ourselves from the idea of needing medications, or the idea that they're the only reason we function or accomplish anything. It's just such a very confusing process, not only symptom-wise, but trying to make sense of who we are without medications or labels, that there's all these twists and turns and so much drama sometimes that, sometimes we think it's never going to end. But ultimately, that's the message of this video. It does end. That stuff doesn't last forever. Whether it's the physical sickness, whether it's the psychological and identity confusion, whether it's just the idea of every day being a struggle, that just doesn't last forever. You find a way to get through the darkest of the dark days as you can, and you really do that by buying into the idea that it gets better. That's something I tell to everyone. You really have to buy into that idea that more time plus more self-care and some self-work equals more healing and feeling better. It doesn't mean that at that time I was always skipping around, just positive. As I said, I couldn't really feel much in the way of positivity at that time. And I expressed doubt each and every day to the people around me. But they didn't let me not buy into the idea that it gets better. I think that's important. They kept pushing that on me. Give it a little more time. Just do the right things for yourself. This isn't going to last forever. That would be impossible. And so I did. I gave it more time. I saw the process through, and I continued to learn more about anxiety, learn about depression, pick up new routines for self-care, make changes in my life to reduce stress and to bring me more joy. And just a lot of things, over the next couple of years really worked to make me feel so much more positive, so much more energetic, so much better than I ever could have imagined back then in this dark period I'm talking about. So if you're going through a dark period right now, and I don't care if you're still tapering or just off the meds, or even if it's 2 years down the line or you're going through some sort of setback or whatever, those dark times never last forever. And you lean on the things that get you through, and that's going to be your faith, your goals, your support, your routines and coping mechanisms, and ultimately that mindset that you will see it through and that the future will be better, because that's just as important in this as anything. So, I hope that you find some sense of peace from watching this video, especially if you haven't seen any of my videos before and you're not all that educated or whatever about withdrawal or what you're going through, and you're just scared as hell and wondering what's going on. I'm someone who's been through it. I'm someone who's been through it, and it didn't last forever. And as severe and serious and touch and go as it was for me for a period of time, things got that far in the way of being good as well down the line. And I would just sit back, and I've had so many moments over the years where I just sit back and take a deep breath and say, man, this is always what I prayed for. And I'm so grateful to God that the healing happens and that it's a reality. So the healing will happen for you too. It is a reality. Again, it does take some time, some self-care, and some self-work, but you put those things together and the inevitable conclusion is feeling better. My name is Michael Preby. Again, my website's lovelygrind.com. I hope you'll go there and check that out. Message me if you'd like to about coaching sessions. Subscribe to this channel. Find me on Facebook and Instagram. And until next time, please remember to have faith and to take care of yourself and your dreams.